Welcome back to another gripping tale on Vanished Files. Your home for chilling crime stories and unsolved mysteries invites you to dive into the daring 1960 Alcatraz Breakout. Three cunning inmates defied the unbreakable walls of the rock in a plot that shocked the world. Did they vanish into the night or sink into the icy San Francisco Bay? Stay tuned to unravel the mystery that still haunts us. In its prime, it stood as the pinnacle of high-security imprisonment. Situated on a desolate island in the heart of San Francisco Bay, Alcatraz, known as the Rock, had confined prisoners since the days of the Civil War. However, it was in 1934, during a fierce crackdown on crime, that Alcatraz was transformed into the world's most impregnable prison. Its roster of inmates featured notorious figures like Al Capone and George "Machine Gun" Kelly, both known for their escape attempts, alongside peculiar personalities like the famed Birdman of Alcatraz. In the 1930s, Alcatraz was a daunting fortress, encircled by the icy, turbulent waters of the Pacific. The overhaul included reinforced steel bars, strategically placed watchtowers, and rigid protocols, with prisoners checked a dozen times daily. Escaping seemed nearly unthinkable. Yet, between 1934 and the prison's closure in 1963, 36 men attempted 14 distinct breakouts. Almost all were either apprehended or perished in the effort. The fate of three specific inmates, however, remains an enigma to this day. This is their tale. Frank Morris landed at Alcatraz in January 1960, convicted of bank heists, burglaries, and other offenses, with a record of fleeing multiple jails. Later that year, John Anglin, another convict, arrived, followed by his brother Clarence in early 1961. The trio had crossed paths in earlier prison terms. Housed in adjacent cells, they started devising an escape scheme. Morris, renowned for his cunning, spearheaded the plan. They were assisted by another prisoner, Alan West. On June 12, 1962, the routine morning roll call was anything but ordinary. Three inmates, John Anglin, Clarence Anglin, and Frank Morris, were missing from their cells. In their places were cleverly crafted dummy heads, fashioned from plaster, skin-colored paint, and real hair, which seemingly deceived the night sentries. The facility was locked down, triggering an exhaustive search. Investigators were promptly alerted and enlisted to assist. The San Francisco office coordinated with agencies nationwide to probe records of the vanished inmates and their prior escape efforts. All three had a history of such attempts. Relatives were questioned, identification details were gathered, and bay boat operators were asked to watch for any wreckage. Within 48 hours, a bundle of letters, sealed in rubber and linked to the men, was retrieved. Later, wooden paddle fragments and pieces of rubber tubing were found in the water. A makeshift life jacket also washed ashore at Cronkite Beach, but further searches yielded no additional clues. As days passed, the FBI, Coast Guard, prison officials, and others uncovered more evidence, piecing together the brilliant escape plot. Alan West, who couldn't exit his cell in time, provided critical details. Here's what was uncovered. The group began plotting the previous December after discovering old saw blades. Using rudimentary tools, including a makeshift drill crafted from a broken vacuum cleaner's motor, they carefully loosened the air vents behind their cells, drilling closely spaced holes to remove entire wall sections. They concealed the openings with items like suitcases or cardboard. Behind the cells lay an unguarded utility passage. They navigated this corridor, climbed to the roof of their cell block within the building, and established a hidden workshop. There, taking shifts to watch for guards, before the final nightly head count using a crude periscope they assembled escape gear from stolen and donated materials. Over 50 raincoats were repurposed into life preservers and a 6x14-foot rubber raft. It seems meticulously sewn and sealed using the prison's hot steam pipes and ideas sparked by magazines found in their cells. They also crafted wooden oars and turned a musical instrument into an inflation tool. Simultaneously, they sought an exit from the building. The ceiling stood 30 feet high, but by scaling a network of pipes, They reached and pried open a ventilator at the shaft's top. A fake bolt made of soap temporarily held it in place. On the night of June 11th, they were set to act. West, however, couldn't fully remove his ventilator grate and was left behind. The other three entered the passage, collected their equipment, climbed through the ventilator, and reached the prison roof. They slid down the bakery chimney at the cell house's rear, scaled the fence, and crept to the island's northeast shore to launch their raft. What followed remains a mystery. Did they cross the bay, reach Angel Island, and traverse Raccoon Strait to Marin County as intended, or were they overcome by the wind and waves? Many have gone to great lengths to argue they could have survived, yet the question persists, did they? The investigation at the time suggested otherwise. For these reasons, crossing the bay was daunting. While some young swimmers have completed the over-mile-long journey from Alcatraz to Angel Island, the strong currents and freezing bay waters stacked the odds against these men. The plan, per the prison informant, involved stealing clothes and a vehicle once on land. Despite the case's high profile, no such thefts were ever reported. If the escapees had outside help, it couldn't be verified. Their families seemed to lack the resources to offer significant aid. For the 17 years the case was active, no credible evidence surfaced to indicate the men were alive, either in the US or abroad. The FBI closed its investigation on December 31, 1979, handing responsibility to the U.S. Marshals Service, which continues to explore the slim chance that the trio remains alive. That's all for today's dive into the shadows of crime on Vanished Files. Join us tomorrow for another thrilling story from the world of mysteries and mayhem. Until then, stay curious, and we'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.